Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk to you about something I've really never done before, something that I thought would be very important for where I live now. For those of you who follow my channel, you know I recently moved from Kentucky to Florida. Florida is known for hurricane season and hurricanes, and unlike Kentucky, I decided when I moved into this Florida home and built a music room that I would dedicate one of my shelves to records that I call my just in case emergency records I would grab. Because a lot of times when there is a hurricane incoming, you get notice to evacuate, you have a little time to be able to grab a few of the things you want to grab. I mean, unlike a fire where you would just be concerned about your immediate family and your pets, this gives you a little bit more time when it's a hurricane situation. So I thought, I'm gonna put my most prized records that are most valuable to me for all different kinds of reasons, I'm gonna put them on one shelf. And when not if, but when a hurricane warning does come up, I will take these records with me and just hope and pray everything else stays safe and that nothing ever happens. Because going through all of my records, wow, I have a lot of things that I'm extremely happy about, love, enjoy, and wouldn't want anything to happen to. But in case of emergency, these are the records. And I've counted 20, but honestly, I cheated a little, so there's a few more. And also, I just want to update you all. If you watch my channel, you know the saga that is the move for us. Our furniture finally arrived after being without it for 4 weeks. We were told we would get our furniture within 3 to 7 days. It took 4 weeks. We did have some broken furniture, some broken china, and a really bad incident that happened that really, my husband and I still aren't quite over. It was really traumatic, and I will share that with you all in an upcoming video because it was just absolutely horrendous what happened. So, but before I do that and get into that in a different video, let's go ahead and talk about these amazing records that I would definitely grab if we are under hurricane threat or anytime I have a chance just to pull some of my records. These are the ones that are in a special shelf, what I call just in case. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the one where I'm lumping several records together, and you'll understand why. These are all Beatles records, some first pressings like this. These are all UK records. They sound absolutely wonderful. This is a Sgt. Pepper stereo first pressing. And this is also a stereo version, which I believe is the only one available, of Abbey Road, a first UK pressing. They sound wonderful. Here in the United States, it is very hard to get UK pressings. Here's one of Revolver. It's a little bit later. It's not a first pressing, but it's still really cool. And a super clean, a little bit later version. It's a UK version, but it's absolutely beautiful, sounds great, in flawless condition. And so those UK Beatles records, they're the hardest of all of them I have to replace, probably. And let's just be honest here. In case of emergency, obviously, you and your family matter the most. All of these records are replaceable. It's just a matter of being able to find the right copy at the right price. Some of these would just be nearly impossible, like this one, for example. This is Chet Baker Sings on the World Pacific label. It is not a first pressing, but it's an extremely early pressing, second or third. I think it's the third pressing of it. The first one's a 10-inch that came out, and then after that, but I think finding clean copies of this record would be really, really hard at this point. This is an old record, came out, I believe, in the 50s. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it like 1957-ish or something like that. It's a fantastic record, and I love having such a clean, original, early, I shouldn't say original, but an early pressing of it. This next record would be nearly impossible price-wise to replace, and it's a great record. This is Led Zeppelin 4. This is a white label promo copy. Again, it would be really hard to replace. George Peckham mastering. It sounds absolutely fantastic, and it's just really cool. Here is the white label. You just don't see these every day, and I got this for a stunning price. I'll never forget it. I went to an antique store. I even made a video about this because I ended up with some records. I titled the video I made probably like, I think, the best record haul I've ever had. And to this day, it's still the best record haul I've ever had. And that Led Zeppelin 4 white label promo, that's just absolutely incredible to have. And it's in clean condition. It plays beautifully. I don't like to play it that often though. I just need to enjoy it and not worry about it. But if something happens, it's going with me. Here's another one. You know, it's not that this one sounds so great. It's good, but it's the Kiss. It's the first album, and it's the first batch that ever dropped of this album. Not a great seller, but what makes it unique, if you love Kiss, is it doesn't have the song Kissing Time on it. After the first run, which that's what this is, it's from the first run, they added a song called Kissin' Time on it to help commercialize Kiss a little bit. Didn't really help a lot. They didn't really hit it big until they did their Kiss Alive album. But this is the first album, and it is in the first batch without the song Kissin' Time, which makes it a lot more rare and hard to find. And I finally found a pretty good copy of it. If you have followed my channel for very long, the very first record, the first copy of this I had was for $8, and it was absolutely trashed. It had that black electric tape holding it together. When I was in California in 2023, I found a cleaner version, and it was just at an antique store, and they had it at a regular price that you would pay for a Kiss record, so I grabbed it. This is the next one I would want, and this one, I could replace it, but it's not an easy replace. This is one that came out for Record Store Day. It's Fleetwood Mac's Fleetwood Mac album. It's the first one with Lindsay and Stevie, and it's 45 RPM. Now, you can get Rumors 45 RPM fairly easily. They've done a lot of represses of that one, but they haven't done this self-titled one, 45 RPM again. They might, but as of right now, they haven't, and it sounds absolutely incredible. And I'll also say the Vinyl Me Please version also sounds great, and it's a beautiful vinyl. But I thought that one would be a cool one to have, and I wouldn't want to lose it, because I don't know if they'll ever do the 45 RPM version again. I would think if they were going to, they already would have. It sounds great, and it's a wonderful one. We're going to go back to Led Zeppelin. You all know why I would want to save this one. I have 2 copies of it. This is I have 2. Maybe I should add the other one, but they're both clean. They're both good copies of the Hot Mix by Robert Ludwig. And, you know, anytime I get, I'm in the mood to hear just something absolutely rocks, or I get a new piece of stereo equipment, or when I moved here and set up all my equipment, this was one of the first records I grabbed. So I always want to have it in my collection. Again, hopefully nothing will ever happen to these records, but just in case, I've got that one pulled back, and anytime there's a hurricane warning or anything, I will grab that. And I have to grab these, not so much for the music, because as far as the music goes, it's great, but I have it covered. But when you see this, you will understand why. I think you'll understand why I want to have both of these copies saved. It is Yesterday and Today by the Beatles. And these are both what they call the Second State Butcher cover pastovers. Due to how many records I am showing in this video, if you don't know the story behind the Beatles Butcher cover, please look up Yesterday and Today Beatles Butcher cover. It's an incredible story, very controversial, especially when you think of how clean-cut the Beatles were at this time. This is a very hard to find record, and the Second State versions are getting even harder to find. I want to keep them for historical purposes. Again, I won't bore you, well, I won't bore you with what the story is. It takes a long time to explain. If you don't know, I urge you to go. It is a fascinating story about the Beatles, and those are historic pieces as far as Beatles records go. This next one, if you just look at the record itself, you know, this is Duke Ellington, Anatomy of a Murder. It is a soundtrack, and it's really cool, but you think, why in the world would you want to save this? Well, it's a very clean copy of this record, and it's the only one I have like this. It is a white label promo of a 6i Columbia label. To find this in as clean a condition as it is, I think's cool. This is the only one of these white label 6i Columbias I've ever ran into. I'm sure there's plenty out there. I don't see them. I take that back. I saw a Bob Dylan first record, his debut album. I did see that at a record show recently, and it was a 6i white label promo for only $1,500. So I paid probably 10 or 15 for that one. I don't even remember because it's been a while. And yet I would never want anything to happen to it. So let's go ahead now and talk about another one that's no, it's not a white label promo, but it's a promotional copy. Buckingham Nicks. I was able to get a promotional copy of this. Again, not white label promo, but what's cool is inside the record album cover is a write-up about the young Lindsay and Stevie with a promotional copy, pushing them to execs and to radio stations to play this album. And I just think it's really cool to own a promotional copy because this is one of those records everybody wants to have in their collection. It is a really good record. A lot of people want it. It's not always easy to find. So having a promotional copy of it, I think, is really special. I've watched vinyl videos, and I'm sure somebody else could probably show a promotional copy of this, but I have yet to see that on one of these vinyl videos that I watch. I'm not going to put this one in, but I just also want to show this is not equally cool, but very cool too. It still has a price tag on it. This is still in shrink. This is a 1981 copy of the same record. So I have two really cool, unique, different versions of Buckingham Nicks. This next record is the most sentimental, probably out of this whole bunch as far as family history. And it's Meet the Beatles, a common record. It's not something, and it's not even a first pressing of this record. But it was my mom's, and very few albums from my childhood has survived. So I don't have a lot, but I love this particular record for a lot of reasons because it makes me think about my mom. When I look at the album cover, I can see the so faint ink pen. She wrote her name, it was her maiden name at the time, on this album cover. That was a common practice back then. A lot of people get bugged by that, but that's just the way it was. My mom, it was before she got married. It was before she had me and my sister. Anytime I see this record, I always want to think about my mom and I just wish I would have known her and could have met her. Time travel existed. I would love to know the woman that bought this record. Not my mom, not the lady that married my dad, but the young, beautiful woman who at the time had a great job, a brand new convertible car, and just looked to the future, and the future was limitless for her. And if you know the story very much or have heard me talk, she ended up marrying my dad. They divorced when I was 4. She had 2 kids. He did not really help a lot, and she did not have a lot of money. I'd like to meet the lady that became my mom before she was burdened with 2 children, financial stresses, a bad marriage, never remarried, never dated again. I would like to know that young woman of who she was. I will say, though, in defense of what she chose for her life, I did overhear my mom talk one time. There was a lady with her, and she said, you shouldn't have married my dad. You shouldn't have married him. And my mom would say, but if I hadn't married him, I wouldn't have my 2 girls. So I don't think she lived with regrets. I think she lived a happy life. And yet, I wish I had known that young lady who owned that record and went and bought it that day. Here's another wonderful record that would be very hard to replace. It is a new one for me. I bought it a couple months ago. It's Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. It's the half-speed mastered version that sounds really great. I paid a pretty penny for it. You can see back in January of '82, it's for sale for $12.99. I wish I could say that was the price I paid for it, but I paid that plus some and plus some and plus some, and I just wouldn't want to be without it now that I have it. And while we're talking about Pink Floyd, this 30th anniversary version cut by Kevin Gray is phenomenal, and I really love it. So this is one of the records I enjoy the most, and I love putting on. It just never gets old for me. It sounds absolutely fantastic. It totally delivers. This is one of my favorite records in the collection. This record is great, and I will be honest though, it's Boston. It is the Mobile Fidelity version of their debut album. Having said that, the reason why I would want to pull this one is because if something happens to this one, I will never be able to afford another copy. They sell for $400 to $500, outrageously expensive. And I do think there are other copies that rival it. I think the first pressing is great. I also think that the Friday Music by Kevin Gray is also very, very good. Sounds fantastic. And I haven't done a shootout to see which one sounds the best, but that Friday Music one, the original, this, they're all really good. The thing with this one though is I got a great price. Someone who watches my channel reached out to me, told me, I have a sealed copy of that Boston debut album you want. I will sell it to you. And I'm telling you, they sold it to me at an amazing price. Still sealed, unbelievable price, because they knew I would enjoy it. And I just want to share that I have opened it. It has been played. It's no longer sealed. I didn't flip it. I really love this one, but it wouldn't be replaceable for me. So I really would want to save that one. This is my favorite album of all time, Odyssey and Oracle, and this is a first pressing on the Date label, and it's in beautiful condition, which is extremely hard to find. To find this in great condition, and it sounds absolutely beautiful. This was a gift given to me from one of my most amazing viewers that I've actually become friends with and talked to a lot. He's actually also sent this beautiful Beatles t-shirt to me. So thank you, Mike from Nebraska. A beautiful record, a beautiful version of a first US pressing. And I really love having that one, and I would never want anything to happen to it. Here's another record that's really special to me. I love Grievous Angel by Graham Parsons. I love the duet and the beautiful playing that he and Emmylou Harris do together. It's just really a nice, relaxing album. And to get a white label promo of it, I thought was really special and rare. I don't see these very often, so I would want to keep a beautiful copy of an original white label promo in the collection. You know, a lot of these records, there might be records I like more than some I'm showing today, but I have to base it on records that I love, something unique about them, and also how hard would it be to replace. And unfortunately, even though there's a lot of records here that I would hate to lose, I could replace a lot easier than the ones I'm showing. Now this is the opposite of what I just said, probably bad timing on mentioning that, but this one has such a sentimental value to me. It is the Van Halen One Step by Mobile Fidelity. And what makes this so special to me is the story behind it, of finding out that they were doing the Van Halen 6 David Lee Roth records. They were putting them 45 RPM on these one steps. This is probably the most anticipated record, the one I was most excited to receive. And they were kind enough to send me a promotional copy. And it just absolutely means the world to me. The excitement of this release and the excitement of putting it on the turntable and dropping the needle for the very first time. I will never forget that feeling. And on a positive note with Mobile Fidelity, they've kind of been on a roll lately, haven't they? They're releasing Abraxas by Santana. It's going to be a 33 RPM version, but I believe it's the same mastering by Krieg Wunderlich that they did for the 45 RPM one step, which I cannot afford to buy. It's astronomically expensive. That's so cool that I have an opportunity to at least own the 33 RPM. Bookends by Simon and Garfunkel. I feel like Mobile Fidelity did a great job with the Simon and Garfunkel records that they've put out so far. I've really loved them. They've turned up a notch. I think they're just really on a roll right now and doing great. Michael Jackson's Off the Wall is coming at 45 RPM. That is going to slam, and I love that record. So that's something else to look forward to. And I think everything they've been putting out lately just sounds great. So I'm super excited. And I can't forget to mention more Van Halen releases. Women and Children First, my favorite Van Halen album. I mean, it should be coming out maybe by the end of this year or early next year. That is going to be so exciting. So my hat's off to Mobile Fidelity. They have really worked hard, and I feel like they're on a roll right now and doing really good. This next record would be Impossible to Replace. Again, I say nothing's impossible for the right price, okay? But this is, we're on Van Halen right now. A Different Kind of Truth. This came out in 2012. They've never done a reissue. There are what you call like counterfeits or unofficial imports of this. So you don't have to have an official pressing, but I bought the official pressing of it. There's something to do with David Lee Roth not really liking this record and not really motivated to want it getting a reissue. I hope it does. I don't know if it will, but I hope it does. But I'm glad I have the 2012 version, the original. I paid up for it because I didn't buy it when it first came out. I don't want anything to happen to this because this was my first big vinyl splurge. And I don't know if it's going to get a reissue. I have Balance, an original Balance record too, but that has been reissued. So that one wouldn't be as hard to replace. A Different Kind of Truth with David Lee Roth from 2012 might be kind of difficult. This one is one that just means a lot to me, and I know some of you are going to roll your eyes, and I get it. But I still love it. We were just talking about Off the Wall by Michael Jackson, and I can't wait for that release. That's a great album. This one is not that, but it's still really, really cool. Michael Jackson's History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1. So this is the album History, which has that Janet Jackson duet, Scream, Make Me Want to Scream on it. It has there's just some Earth Song and A Stranger in Moscow, and I really like this record. No, it's not as good as Thriller or Off the Wall. He was in a different place at this point. This contains his greatest hits LP and the History album. And I had this CD, and it was at a time where the day it came out, I went out and bought the CD. And this is a very cool vinyl box set. It's not easy to find or easy to get. I have a memory of going to Lexington, Kentucky. My daughter, we took her to school and helped her unpack. That's always kind of a sad day when you have to take your kid back to college. You've had the summer with them and it's time to go back. And we helped her out. It was a really hot day. After we said goodbye to her, we went to a record store in Lexington and I found that record. And it just really put my mood in a much better place because I was just never one of those moms, even when she was little, I never looked forward to school starting up again. I always enjoyed my summers with my daughter. And that record, I kind of remember the thrill of finding it. And I do enjoy that record. And finally, here is the last one I will show, Yusef Lateef. This is Eastern Sounds. This is that Kraft small batch recording record. It was the second one that came out. Very hard to get because they had it extremely limited, and it was back during the pandemic when everybody was trying to get it. These Kraft one-steps were really hot at that time. And this is copy number 6. And it's one of my favorite jazz records. I'd say it's in my top 3. Right up there with Miles Davis in A Silent Way. And I'd have to think about what other one. Something probably by Bill Evans would be a third. But I really love this Yusef Lateef. And yes, I know you can get other versions of this record, but I love the way this one sounds. I love having this copy. And so I would want to take it with me in case of an emergency. So that's the records I am going to be taking with me when there is a hurricane alert and I need to evacuate. Hopefully that never happens, but my husband and I have even been on vacation before and that has happened to us. So it might happen. What records would you want to save out of your collection? What is special to you? I would love to know. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell. But thanks so much, most importantly, for watching this video. And I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.